Hi, my name is Maddie Nygaard, and this is me. It started with my mom, Linda, and my dad, Jerry. They got married in 1992, then they had my brother, Corey, in 1995. A couple years later came me in 1997. I grew up in Minnesota with my family and my dog, Emma. We are a middle-class family and identify with the Lutheran religion. On my dad's side of the family, my ancestors came from Norway, and my last name, Nygaard, is Norwegian. Here's a picture of my great-grandparents, Layla and Marvin. Then this is my grandparents, my dad's parents, Marva and Richard. I'm using a lot of older pictures because my grandparents died before I was born and my grandma passed away when I was about 8 years old. But my grandma was actually born deaf. This was unique for my family because we learned so much from her and how she viewed the world. She knew sign language very fluently, but my family and I actually never learned. Since she was born deaf, she didn't speak coherent English, but we actually could understand her, like her own little language we had with her. Now, my mom's side of the family came mostly from France. First is a picture of my great-grandparents, Eileen and Raymond. My mom told me they actually spoke French quite fluently, and my middle name was given to me after my great-grandma, Eileen. Then here's a picture of my Grandma Patty and Grandpa Al. Then they had my Aunt Susan in the back, my mom in the pink, then my Uncle Todd on the left. My grandparents divorced when my mom was younger, and my grandpa passed away when I was about 7 years old. Now here's a picture of my uncle and my grandpa, and my Uncle Todd has actually been a bit of an impact on who I am today because of his service in the U.S. Army from 1987 to 2007. My uncle was a ranger and a drill sergeant in the Army. He had been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, and Sudan. He's seen many war zones. My uncle being in the military has made an impact on my decision to become a service member myself. I enlisted in the Air Force last January, and seeing my uncle's bravery and heroic acts in the Army, it made me want to experience something like that as well. The Air Force is a big part of who I am today. I was actually the first in my immediate family to join the military. Being a service member comes with great pride. I never actually saw myself being in the Air Force, but I became the strongest, most confident person after my basic military training last summer. Here's a video of me getting my airman's coin from my military training instructor. This has meant that I now was an airman in our United States Air Force after 8.5 weeks of training. Now, another thing I get from my family is my love to cook. My mom and her mom, my grandma, are amazing cooks. We believe that food should be celebrated because it brings people together and it is a way that we can still be a part of our culture. Going back to my Norwegian culture, one of the most prominent memories I have from when I was younger was making lefse. It is a very popular Norwegian dish. They can actually be pretty difficult to make. You use these sticks to put underneath the lefse to flip it over, and it's really hard to keep the lefse put together when transferring it over to the hot pan. My family and I would always make this during Christmas. I would always put butter, sugar, and cinnamon in mine and then roll it up and eat it. But my dad really likes to put sausage in his. Another big part of who I am is being Minnesotan and the Minnesotan culture. A big part of being Minnesotan is lakes and cabins. My grandpa actually built a cabin on the lake back in the 70s, and my mom and her siblings grew up there. I also grew up there fishing, kayaking, and doing all sorts of other activities on the lake with my friends and family. When my grandpa passed away, the cabin was passed on to my mom, and we still keep my grandpa's culture alive by fishing and doing things outdoors. The cabin has been a very important part of my life, and it will continue to do so in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of getting to know how I became who I am today.